Issued with the committee's terms of reference and information about the standing orders that relate to the examination of witnesses?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you. Do you have any questions about that information or concerns? No worries. As part of the formalities, can both of you please state your full name and position and take either the oath or the affirmation, please?
Thank you. I, William Barton, do hereby affirm and declare that the evidence I shall give before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and I'm here as the Vice President of the Institute of Public Works Engineering, Australasia, New South Wales and ACT.
Josh Devitt, I'm the Chief Engineer of IPWEA New South Wales and ACT. I, Joshua Devitt, swear that the evidence I shall give before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Fantastic, thank you. Would either or both of you like to make a short opening statement before we begin going into questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
I would like to thank the committee for the opportunity to appear here today. This follows our submission in July to the inquiry, and since that time of our submission there have been 103 deaths on New South Wales roads. That's 103 families whose lives have been torn apart and destroyed. Road trauma in regional New South Wales remains disproportionately high compared to metropolitan areas, with no meaningful reduction in behaviour-related crash factors, that is speeding, fatigue and drink or drug driving, over the 2019 to 2023 period. Additionally, fatality rates per 100,000 residents have continued to rise, signalling that current strategies are not addressing the underlying causes of road trauma. Contrary to some opinions, these are largely regional people dying on regional roads. Without urgent change, New South Wales will fall far short of its 2030 and 2050 Vision Zero targets. A central barrier to this is the inadequacy of regional specific data. Although Transport for New South Wales publishes statewide crash data, councils, and particularly in regional areas, report long delays in accessing detailed, usable information. Data can take up to 2 years to become available, and important behavioural indicators such as alcohol or drug involvement are often missing. Tools intended to support councils, such as the Safe System Analytics Council app and the RSO portal, are described as difficult to navigate and not fit for purpose. As a result, councils frequently rely on outdated or incomplete data, limiting their ability to design targeted, proactive interventions. The over-reliance on lag indicators also means improvements are reactive and often directed only to locations with crash clusters, rather than areas with demonstrably high risk. Simultaneously, many regional councils face funding shortfalls, leading to declining asset and road surface conditions that further erode safety. Current behaviour change strategies also fall short. While state-run programs exist, they tend to apply broad, uniform approaches that do not effectively address regional, behavioural and cultural factors. Local councils are best positioned to influence their communities, yet many lack the resources, the internal systems and the broader organisational support because road safety is not an explicitly defined local government function. The Local Government Road Safety Program, whilst supported by many councils, is widely viewed as slow, inconsistent and administratively cumbersome, discouraging participation and delaying critical interventions. A lack of alignment between state and local governments compounds these issues. Councils are often unclear about their responsibilities, and the absence of legislative requirements for road safety consideration further hinders action. While the 2023 Regional Road Safety Audit outlined necessary reforms, little progress has been made on implementing the recommendations of this report. The consequence of this inaction can be seen in escalating fatalities. 313 deaths have occurred on New South Wales roads so far in 2025, with 67% in regional areas, 19% higher than the same period last year. Beyond behaviour, regional communities face systemic vulnerabilities across other safe system pillars. Regional roads are less forgiving, vehicles tend to be older, enforcement is more difficult, and speed environments are less consistent. These factors amplify the severity of crashes involving high-risk behaviours in regional areas. IPWEA New South Wales and ACT therefore calls for Transport for New South Wales to undertake a dedicated study into these disparities and for speed management processes to be streamlined with stronger local government input. We note that there is an ongoing federal review into changing the default speed limits on non-urban roads, as well as the introduction a few weeks ago of a private member's bill into the New South Wales Parliament to consider the reduction of the New South Wales default urban speed limit. The setting of appropriate speed zones will undoubtedly increase the overall safety of the road network for road users, but such approaches cannot work in isolation. Sustainable funding is still needed to maintain the road network at an acceptable standard. To not do so runs the risk of a race to the bottom with respect to speed limits being progressively reduced over time as the quality of the network continues to deteriorate. To drive meaningful change, IPWEA New South Wales and ACT proposes the following short-term priorities. Implementing the recommendations of the Regional Road Safety Report in full, clarifying Council's role in Vision Zero, including removing legislative ambiguity in the New South Wales Roads Act, improving quality and timeliness of access to data, streamlining funding for both road safety initiatives and asset maintenance, providing councils with greater input into setting speeds on roads they manage, and investing in innovative technologies such as AI-based network assessment tools. Longer-term reforms include assisting councils in developing comprehensive road safety strategies with supporting action plans, performance targets, and dedicated officer roles. Collectively, these measures would strengthen local capacity, improve responsiveness, and reduce serious injuries and fatalities on regional New South Wales roads.
No problem. Before we go to questions, just so you know, you can take questions on notice and respond in writing or via email. I think you pretty much answered the question that I had in your opening contribution, but I'll go to Mr. Latham, who is online.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair, and thank you to the witnesses. Can I just take you to the bottom of the second last page of your submission, because I think a big part of this, of course, is innovative, lower cost solutions for local government in particular with road repairs and road improvements, pavement improvements. You're talking about the possibilities of AI playing a role in this, such as the Asset AI platform being developed by your organisation, also Transport for New South Wales, which passively collects data on the condition of the road network and helps councils proactively identify areas of high risk. How does it do that without human involvement? How do you passively collect? It's a fascinating area, AI. I'm learning more about it as a Luddite every day, but how does it actually do that in collecting information about the road pavement? Don't you still need humans?
Yeah, look, I'm happy to take that question. So Asset AI is a project that we've been working on with, in partnership with Transport for New South Wales for approximately 3.5 years now. Will Barton was actually involved in the initial commencement of that back at his time at CB City Council. So it uses cameras that are placed on vehicles that are already on the road network. So it's put on garbage trucks and street sweepers and other vehicles like that. There is a machine learning algorithm that sits behind the data that effectively scans through the imagery that comes through, picks up potholes and other types of defect. And that is obviously trained over time. The more data you feed into it, the smarter it becomes. And then the platform that we've built effectively triages all of those defects and says these are the most severe ones from at least a condition assessment perspective, so from an asset management perspective. But we think there's real potential to leverage that technology in the road safety space as well. So as the platform currently stands, it will provide councils with the information to act more proactively in terms of intervening earlier and preventing defects from getting too big. But again, these cameras are already out there, so we could repurpose them to also detect offsets to hazards and to feed data into a system such as the OSRAP star rating scheme as well.
Right, well that's very clever, isn't it? You just need humans to drive the garbage truck.
Well, if I can...
machines do the rest. But how much of this is happening already? And I assume there's sort of, a trial system to get some verification of how accurate it might be, where humans themselves go and check the quality of the pavement. So how far down the track are you with it? Because it sounds like it's got unlimited potential.
Oh, look, I wouldn't say unlimited. It's certainly got strong potential. But we have done some trials ourselves internally comparing different types of camera providers. But with the councils that we're working with, and there's currently 12 councils that are involved in the project, many of them are doing their own validation. So they'll send the cameras down a road, they'll then send the manual inspectors down the same road and check the quality of the data that it returns.
Right, and how much in resources is Transport for New South Wales putting into this? Because it sounds like it's something that, well, you said it's got lots of potential, so It's something that we need to develop over the next 3 or 4 years, isn't it? Is it being adequately resourced?
It is certainly being adequately resourced for the stage that we're at of the project. We would obviously love to see it scaled across more councils in New South Wales, and certainly part of our role is actively pursuing future councils to come on board.
Right, excellent, thank you. Well done.
Thanks, Mark. Mr. Atala.
Thank you, Chair, and it's good to see Mr. Elliott in the gallery. My question, and thank you, gentlemen, for appearing today before the committee. In your submission, you note the lack of alignment between state and local governments is the greatest barrier in reducing road trauma. Can you elaborate on that and let us know what recommendations you would have to align the policies of both levels of government?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I might start and then hand over to Mr. Devitt. So, local councils are responsible for 80% of the road network in New South Wales by centreline kilometre or thereabouts. It fluctuates from year to year. I remember that when we were reviewing the draft of what is the current state government road safety plan, one of its first iterations didn't mention councils once. The plan now does at least mention councils, but it certainly doesn't reflect the enormous role that councils have and the enormous responsibility that councils have in affecting the change that's required to achieve Vision Zero targets. The funding arrangements with the road safety officers is at best could be described as difficult. The funding has no secure pipeline, and the central approach or the centralised approach to the rollout of programs doesn't allow for that localised response to what can be very local challenges to these particular behaviour issues when it comes to road safety. So that would be certainly a starting point, is to acknowledge and partner with councils. There's a number of avenues through the current review of the Roads Act, clarifying the roles for all roads authorities across New South Wales with respect to road safety, and treating councils as a partner as opposed to a service provider. Josh?
Yeah, I might just add to that. I think that the challenge here is that in terms of councils being involved in road safety, there's not a lot of incentive. I mean, there's no legislative requirement under the Roads Act. So councils themselves, as has already been mentioned, often struggle with resourcing these sorts of roles. Many councils, I don't think, see road safety as a priority. Some of the consultation we've done over the years indicates that councils believe it's a state government responsibility solely. So until you get effective buy-in at a local level, you're not really going to shift the narrative on that from the perspective of many councils.
So what recommendation you would want this committee to make to address this issue?
Yeah, no, look, so I think following on from what Mr. Barton has said, getting input from local councils themselves is critical. Having much greater engagement with the local government sector. I think putting some sort of requirement in the Roads Act, which I know is under review at the moment, to have councils take a role in road safety is important as well. And making sure that the information that councils can access, they can do so in a timely manner, it's fit for purpose. Things of that nature will certainly assist councils in taking a far greater role in road safety.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Butler, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your submission and for your introduction. It was very thorough, very comprehensive, and answered some of the questions that we had anticipated we were going to ask you. I guess where I wanted to go is a couple of things. One is talking about your cameras on trucks, on existing cameras. Does that involve accelerometers or anything that will measure G-shock and all that sort of thing? So notwithstanding the difference in shock absorption between different rolling stock and different vehicles, you get an idea that there's a big hole.
Yep.
Right, excellent. Okay, that's great news. So where I wanted to talk to you about more, get more information on, is the disparities between the safe system implementation, regional and metro. And you've talked about this in your submission, but I'd really like to get it on the Hansard, the discrepancies between metro and regional. I come from a very regional electorate. So what are the discrepancies that you think your study would uncover, or that study by Transport for New South Wales would show?
So look, I think the challenges we see it is that having a single high-level perspective on road safety is not appropriate. You need to have regional input, you need to have local input to those decisions, and that the implementation of the SAFE systems is currently lacking that, or it's not covered in enough detail. And I think the other element I'd raise is obviously that the consequences for a failure of that system in a regional context are often more severe in a metro context. It's higher speeds, longer distances, greater risk of fatigue. So when the system fails, there's far greater impact.
That's great, thank you. And what else was I going to ask you about? I think that's. I'll leave it there for the moment, Mr. Chair. I'll see if something else comes back to me. I had a thought that was in my mind, but now it's left me.
Sure. Just in relation to, obviously, the relationship between the two levels, state and local government level, if you were chair of this committee, what is one recommendation you would see to be the most constructive step forward to get that alignment right between the two levels? Or is it just funding based?
No, I don't think it's just funding based. I think that's a very important piece of the puzzle. I think the clarity and confirming the role of each road authority, or that each road authority has to play in road safety, is probably, in the short term, one of the most important things that we need to do.
Yeah.
As Mr. Devitt said, there is nothing which compels a council to do anything with respect to road safety other than through its normal asset management, its normally road maintenance, road construction, and so forth. So to bring that level of government, which has 80% of the network within its charge,
Yeah.
to the table and clarifying its role and legislating a requirement for it to do something with road safety would be a tremendous step forward.
So tighter measures of accountability through legislation and or regulation, would you suggest?
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think it needs to be both the carrot and the stick approach, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
I would suggest that certainly one of the responses when we raise this with our members is that they're concerned about the resourcing requirements that may put onto them, and so
Yeah.
I'd suggest that there would need to be some form of support to help councils take on a greater role.
Yeah.
But that could be in the form of, we're not talking just funding, also education and support to sort of develop the road safety plans at a local level, potentially.
Well, as I'm sure you're aware, no matter what level of government, it's not always about the amount of money, it's how it's being used.
Yeah.
And is it being used most effectively? I find that. I learnt that in the private sector before I came in here, and I learnt the even more priority importance of it, because it's not, government doesn't have any money. The only money the government's got is the taxpayers in New South Wales. It's public money. So it must be used sensibly, and it concerns me at certain times that programs are very good and the agencies do a wonderful job, but is it fit for purpose? And if it's not, what reforms are required to ensure that it is? But anyway, that's more a statement than anything. Colleagues, with there being no further questions, is there anything further you guys would like to add?
Look, one thing I'd like to add is that, so I've been in councils now for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. Most of that has been in regional New South Wales. And the one thing that I've consistently come up against is an absence of data.
Yes.
We don't know...
What's your solution to that?
Well, there's a few potential solutions.
Yep.
I think that there is an opportunity to review the thresholds for reporting crashes, for instance. There is in safe systems thinking, there's the iceberg principle, which says that for one fatality, there's 300 near misses.
Yeah.
We don't have a line of sight to those 300 near misses. All we see is the fatality.
Yeah.
So, if I were to be asked the question whether in any of those councils that I've worked for, whether we've had a problem with behavioural issues such as speeding or a behavioural issue around drink driving, I couldn't tell you because we don't have that data. All we know is that of the fatalities, there was 3 or 4 that were related to fatigue, 3 or 4 related to drink driving,
Yeah.
and so forth. So our road safety officers and our asset managers are really flying blind and being almost entirely dictated to by lag data. We're the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff.
Yeah.
I know as practitioners, we want to get past that. We want to be proactive, and we want to be addressing these issues before they become fatalities.
Okay.
I forget the number of times where I'd attended a serious accident, thankfully none of them fatalities, but certainly serious injury crashes,
Sure.
only for the locals to tell me that this was bound to happen because it's always happened.
Yeah.
It's just that this time,
There's one thing that learning that I, and I'm sure my colleagues would agree, is that we have a reactive approach. And I think black spot funding is a good example of that. And I fully support black spot funding. It's very important. But at the end of the day, the allocation of that black spot funding is a reactive policy approach to an incident that's already occurred or a number of incidents.
Yes.
I think the key strategy in this policy space is to front foot this, and maybe we're not listening to our experts as much as we should. And I think that's important as a parliament, that we've got to own the circumstances of the situation we're in, because nothing is ever fixed unless it's acknowledged. And I think that's something that I'm personally learning through the course of this inquiry. But what areas of regional New South Wales have you worked in, if you don't mind my asking?
The Riverina, down near Wagga.
Okay. Yep. Lovely part of the world. Okay. Well, with there being nothing further, colleagues, I thank you both for coming in and for your submission and your valued contribution. If you do have anything further, please do put it in. Be bold. We don't want to hear. We want to hear what we need to hear, not what we want to hear. And I mean, we are a very good and proactive and constructive committee that is outcome driven. So we legitimately want to be making recommendations to government that, number one, are consistent with fact, and number two, are actually achievable and realistic. So any contributions further along that platform is sincerely appreciated. But of course, thank you so much for your submission, and each of you will be provided with a copy of the transcript of today's proceedings for any corrections that you may have. The committee staff will also email any questions taken on notice from today and any supplementary questions from the committee. We kindly ask that you return these answers within 7 days of receiving those questions. I thank you both. Again, I thank the organisation for your valued contribution and submission. And the committee staff will now prepare for our next witnesses, and this may take a few minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hear, hear.